It started with us tangled in the sheets, the morning sun casting a warm glow on Alex's face as he moved slowly above me. The kind of lovemaking that made everything else disappear. For a moment, I forgot about the bills piling up, the phone calls from debt collectors, and the weight of our crumbling dreams. It was just us, two bodies, two souls, desperate to hold onto the love that had once been our sanctuary. His lips brushed against my ear, whispering my name, and I clung to him like he was the only thing keeping me from drowning. I arched my back, meeting his trust, feeling the familiar surge of pleasure. We finished together, collapsing in each other's arms, breathless and smiling, like we were still the young couple who believed love could solve everything. But as the high faded and reality crept back in, I saw it in his eyes. The worry he tried so hard to hide. We lay there in silence, my head on his chest, listening to the rhythm of his heartbeat, both of us knowing we couldn't ignore our problems forever. Our escape plan led us to Las Vegas, the city where fortunes change with the flip of a card. It was a last-ditch effort to turn things around, a gamble born out of desperation. We decided to take the little we had left, hoping to win enough to buy us some time. I wore a red dress, the one that made me feel like a different woman, the kind who could flirt with fate and win. The casino was alive with energy, the air buzzing with excitement and the clinking of glasses. We took a seat at the blackjack table, Alex squeezing my hand for luck. At first, we won. Small victories, but they felt huge in the moment. I let myself believe that maybe we'd get out of this mess, that we'll laugh about it someday over wine and stories of our wild Vegas night. And that's when he walked in. Michael Grant. He looked like he owned the place, with his tailored suit and easy smile. I noticed him noticing me, his eyes lingering a little too long. He was older, handsome in that effortless way, the kind of man who had never been told no. He introduced himself with the charm of someone used to getting what he wanted, offering us drinks and making small talk as if we were old friends. I felt his gaze, heavy and deliberate, as he asked about us, how we ended up in Vegas, what we were hoping to win. Alex, always the optimist, told him about our financial troubles, how we were hoping for a lucky break. Michael listened, nodding thoughtfully, and then, out of nowhere, he made his move. $1 million, he said, his eyes locked on mine. For one night with you, Laura. The room seemed to go silent. I glanced at Alex, expecting him to laugh it off, but instead, I saw something I never expected. Hesitation. He was actually considering it. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. You can't be serious, I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. Oh, I am, Michael replied calmly. One night, no strings attached. You leave in the morning and the money is yours. I felt sick. This wasn't some romantic fantasy or a joke. It was real. And the worst part was, I could see Alex weighing it, calculating what we could do with that money, our debts, our mortgage, everything we were struggling with could disappear overnight. "Let's go," I said to Alex, grabbing his arm. But Michael's voice stopped me. "Take your time. Talk it over. It's not an offer I make lightly." Back in our hotel room, the argument exploded. I couldn't believe Alex was even entertaining the idea. We yelled, we cried, and we threw accusations at each other like knives. He kept repeating that it was just one night, that it was a way out of the hole we were in. "You would really let me do this?" I asked, tears streaming down my face. "I don't know what else to do," he admitted, his voice breaking. "We're out of options, Laura. This could save us." I couldn't sleep. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling the walls were closing in. In the morning, I made the decision. I looked at Alex and he knew. He didn't say a word as we walked back to Michael's suite. The night felt like a dream I couldn't wake up from. Michael was gentle, surprisingly tender, like he knew the weight of what I was giving up. We talked for hours before anything happened, and for a moment, I almost forgot why I was there. He held me close afterward, whispering, "You're stronger than you think, Laura." I felt Mike's hand slide over my shoulder, the warmth of his touch so different from what I had expected. There was no rush, no urgency in his movement, as if he understood that this wasn't just a transaction for me. It was a moment suspended in time, somewhere between reality and a dream I couldn't wake from. He traced the curve of my collarbone with his fingers, watching my reaction carefully, almost tenderly. I shivered under his touch, a wave of unexpected anticipation washing over me. My body betrayed me, responding to his gentle caress even as my mind screamed at me to pull away. His lips found mine softly, as though he were asking for permission rather than taking it. It was gentle, almost hesitant, as if he were testing the boundaries of what this night could be. I kissed him back, surprising myself with the intensity of it. His hands slid down my back, pulling me closer, and I felt the hardness of his chest against mine. He tasted like champagne and something darker, something forbidden. I melted into him, my resolve crumbling away as his hands explored my body with a kind of reverence, making me feel both cherished and desired in a way I hadn't felt in years. The air between us was thick with tension, every touch igniting a spark that spread like wildfire through my veins. He undressed me slowly, taking his time, as if he wanted to memorize every inch of me. He laid me down on the bed, the soft sheets cool against my skin. He kissed my neck, my shoulders, trailing his lips down my body in a way that left me breathless. When he finally moved over me, he paused, looking into my eyes with a sincerity I didn't expect. For a moment, it felt like there was no money, no deal, just two people lost in each other. He entered me slowly, and I gasped, a mix of pleasure and pain swirling inside me. He moved in a steady rhythm, his eyes locked on mine, and for that fleeting moment, it felt like he was making love to me, not buying me. I closed my eyes, letting myself feel everything, letting myself drown in a night I would never forget. When I left the suite in the morning, the money was already transferred. $1 million sitting in our account, but it felt like blood money. I went back to Alex and we paid off the debts, bought ourselves time. We were supposed to feel free, but instead, it felt like we had chained ourselves to a memory that would never fade. We tried to move on, pretending everything was the same, but it wasn't. The silence between us grew, filled with unspoken words and shattered trust. I could see it in Alex's eyes every time he looked at me. Regret, guilt, and something else. Something darker. He would reach for me in bed, but it wasn't the same. I couldn't help but flinch, remembering another man's touch, another man's whispered words. Months later, Michael reached out to me. He sent a single message. I hope you're happy, Laura. I never meant to come between you two. I just saw something in you. A strength, a longing for something more. I deleted the message, but the words lingered. It's been years now, and Alex and I are still together. We don't talk about that night, but it hangs over us like a shadow we can't escape. There are moments when I look at him and see the man I fell in love with. But then I remember the choice we made, the choice I made. I'm not telling this story for sympathy or judgment. I'm telling it because sometimes life gives us impossible choices. And sometimes the hardest part isn't making the decision, it's living it with it every day after.